Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Table and Plate Project Delta podcast. We've been on hiatus for a year or so, but this past February 22nd, we began to re-engage and share our thoughts again. You're joining me, Dr. Ellen Harris, as I learn, explore, discover, experience, and talk about food, culture, and community in the Mississippi Delta and beyond. As we start back up with our podcast, we're featuring Cookbook Club Sunday Dinner gatherings this year. Today, we're featuring the June 14th Cookbook Club Sunday Dinner. Usually, these dinners are held in person and virtually with friends in Mississippi and other parts of the country. There's usually a theme, a featured cookbook. We talk, we share stories, present the dish or meal we each prepared, eat, and then bid each other farewell until next time. 2 years ago, we also added a segment where we discuss a pre-selected food-related book. This year, we also may invite co-hosts and guests to talk about special food topics. How we flow will just depend on who's willing or has the time to participate. We're experiencing a time where protection and nurturing of soul and spirit are extremely important. To take care of others, you must take care of yourself, reduce stress, and garner strength for you and community. Our platform is meant to contribute to that effort and go wherever spirit takes us. Our last podcast episode on April 19th was about the importance of preserving food, especially when the African American community, especially within the African American community, where resourcefulness and tradition have long helped families stretch meals and protect precious food resources. Dr. Deirdre Chester, a registered dietitian nutritionist, dedicated to working with communities on food issues related to talking about food preservation, sustainability, and food education. If you haven't, be sure to check it out and other past podcasts on our YouTube Third Ward Zen Table and Plate Project Delta podcast channel. This time around, it's just me. Since we're approaching Juneteenth and we're about to enter the summer solstice, I thought I'd talk a little bit about a book I'm reading, Africulture: How the Principles, Practices, Plants, and People of African Descent Have Shaped American Agriculture, by Michael Carter Jr., a fifth-generation Black farmer in Virginia. His book came out on May 19th, and I started reading it last week. I love his writing style. It's laden with metaphor, personal stories, history, ancestral connections, and Africa, all linked to food and agriculture perspectives. Each chapter is titled and framed metaphorically. The book begins with Libations, a piece dedicated to honoring African cultural deities, ancestors, and people influential in his life. 9 chapters are titled Seeds, Soil, Roots, Compost, First Leaves, True Leaves, Pestilence and Resistance, Flowering, and Fruit. As he writes in chapter 1, seeds are beginnings, and he takes you through the layers of a seed by verbalizing the connections between our bodies, genetics, lineage, sacrifices of our ancestors, wanting to be a farmer, and recognizing the turning point when the seeds of his purpose began to germinate in 2003. So far, I've read the first 3 chapters and cheated a bit by skipping to chapter 8 on flowering. There he writes, the plant depends on a great variety of collaborators for pollination. The more different forms life can take, create, and thrive, the more robust and energetic the whole system is able to be. The American farming system of monocropping concentrates the revenue in the hands of large, mostly white farms. In the same way, biodiversity benefits the soil and the land. It benefits the economy and the community. All types of pollinators and collaborators working their magic with all types of flowers are needed to rebuild a more diverse farming industry. While I've not quoted Michael Carter Jr. verbatim, I've taken portions of his words to emphasize his views to lean into discomfort and recognize, as he says, the land, this earth, is quite large enough for every living being to have a share. Moving into wholeness will assist in more flowering and ultimately in consistent, sweet fruits. And this is a perfect segue into a peek of my garden. Let's get started. Well, everyone, we're about to enter into my garden. It's not a very fancy garden, but it's home. And since I've been in Mississippi for the past few years, I've tried to have some kind of garden leaning towards growing some of my food. And this year, I especially was interested in incorporating more flowers, intermixing them with my vegetables, and then also growing them alone. In this bed right here, I have cosmos and some dahlias that I'm just waiting and very excited that are about to bloom. And mixed in with these flowers are some sweet potatoes, and you can see the vines. I'm hoping they'll do okay. And on the next side of the bed, I have carrots and one little bitty beetroot that I'm hoping will survive. I haven't had much luck with carrots, but I'm still trying. I pulled one the other day and it just hadn't quite formed. It looked like it would have been a wonderful, beautiful purple carrot, but just didn't make it. But that's one of the things you learn about gardening is it's a lesson learned practically every day. So in this bed right here, you'll see what's supposed to be suya cucumbers growing. I don't know. Something seems to be trying to get to the leaves, and I've been spraying it with neem oil because I don't have an organic garden per se, because I don't spray anything on my crops, but I do use neem oil occasionally, and hoping that that will help mitigate any problems. The vine is growing very well. The leaves just look like crap, but I'm still hoping that I'll get these very long, slender cucumbers that are delicious, real crispy, and just great. Next are some habanero peppers growing, and you can see the budding starting, but no peppers just yet. And behind it is one plant. It's jalapenos, and you can see a couple of jalapenos growing. And here I have some tomatoes. They're called Tumbling Tom Yellow, and they are really delicious, and I'm so happy that I've been able to grow them without critters eating them before I can get them ripened on the vine. And then next to those tomatoes are another small yellow cherry tomato. I prefer small tomatoes mostly, and this one is called Sun Gold, and there's one. I'll pick these tomatoes before the evening is out. And then next to my tomatoes are another small bed of flowers, and again a mix of dahlias and cosmos. I went on a fiber art retreat last year in New Mexico, and I just loved the garden at one of the sessions where the artist was growing cosmos in his garden, and I started planting some from seed, which makes me really proud. And then here is an Asian type eggplant. I don't quite remember the name of it. I'll have to look. And again, I'm so happy that it's growing without, and I don't want to jinx it, but it's growing without any critter bothering it. And I have a couple on this plant and a couple here and over there. So they're doing quite nicely. And this is a peach tree that didn't quite make it. I planted it 2 years ago, but it's got a shoot coming off of it. So maybe if I cut the rest of this off, it'll continue to grow. Next to it is a quince plant that I'm growing for the first time, and these little buds are little baby quinces, so I'm excited to see how that comes out. This right here is a pear tree that I planted last year, and it bore fruit, which was a surprise for first year growing, and they were really nice cooking pears. But this year it bloomed beautifully. It had blossoms all over the place, and by mid-March we had this hard freeze, and it's just about killed the tree. And I'm still hoping, I'm still talking to it softly, saying don't completely kill yourself or whatever, but right now no pears, most definitely this year. And this right here is a grow bag that I planted potatoes in, the little splits, and I got my first harvest of potatoes ever, and there are a couple plants still growing. I'm hoping that this heat won't completely devastate them, and that I might get another little harvest. And then moving right along, this is my greenhouse that I do some starting of seeds if I don't do them in the house, because Mississippi doesn't have really bad winters, but all of a sudden it will get these crazy freezes that one winter I actually lost all the seedlings that I had because the greenhouse is not heated. But anyway, in these tubs, I'm trying to grow flowers that don't seem to try to be working. They're magic. And this one I'm growing what's called a ridge gourd. It's a vegetable grown in India that I grew last year for the first time. I got seeds from Alcorn University, and it was really a nice bumper crop last year. I grew them in the ground. This year I put them in this tub, and I don't know, so they're going real slow. And then this is another cucumber vine that I just sprayed today with neem oil because ants are just all over the place. So I don't know what's going on here, but it's blooming from time to time. So we'll see. And here, this is my little herb tub, and I have thyme, I have oregano, I have basil. I've got to pinch some of this basil so that it won't bolt. And then this is sorrel behind it. My first time growing it, I got it from, I got some cuttings from a friend in Houston. And then moving right along, these are the remainings of strawberries in the middle, and I actually need to start planting these little shoots. I've found out that you can plant them in a pot, leave them connected to the parent, and once they start growing, then you can disconnect them to the parent. So I need to do that. And then over there are my sweet corn. This is the second time that I've tried growing sweet corn. The first time I grew them in one row and they did not grow very well. And after that, I found out that you really need to stagger them and not do a single row because they depend on wind pollination. So far the stalks are looking quite healthy, and fingers crossed. These are my okra plants. I'm usually really successful with growing okra, and these ones here are my usual Clemson okra, and then these three right here are called Cajun okra that I'm growing for the first time. They have started blooming with flowers already, and normally when you see flowers, you'll see a pod, and sure enough, like here's an okra pod. And I'm not used to that because usually the trees, the okra stalks grow up kind of high before you start seeing pods. And I've picked a few, but they looked ready, but they were not. They were hard. So I'm gonna keep experimenting with that. And then here is my one lone cantaloupe plant that was sown with seeds. I originally had 4 of them, but some critter got 2 of them, and then I netted the last 2, and the critter got through the net and got one of those. And so this is my last one, and I'm hoping that, it's flowering, so I'm hoping I'll get some melons. I've been successful with cantaloupe so far. These are my zucchini plants, and at first I thought I'd gotten 2 male plants because I've been seeing blossoms, beautiful squash blossoms, but no zucchini. But this morning I actually saw, and let's see, where is it? Oh, there it is. The beginnings of a zucchini. So fingers crossed again. I say that all the time because gardening is you're working with Mother Nature, and lots of things can happen. You share with I definitely share with my natural family because here I have geese. You can see in the foreground. There are foxes, there are raccoons, bobcats. I even in the pond had an alligator this summer. So you share with lots of things, and so I'm trying to be part of Mother Nature, grow a little bit of my food, and see what I get. And that's the end of my little tour. Lastly, with flowers, these are hibiscus flowers here that are blooming beautifully. And just I love being here, enjoying nature, and trying to live a simple, peaceful life, even with all the craziness that's going on. And so with that, I hope that you have, and not only I hope, I thank you for joining me. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to my thoughts on Michael Carter Jr.'s book, Africulture. Hopefully you're inspired to read and learn from it yourselves. I also hope you enjoyed a peek into my own garden down here in the Mississippi Delta. I'm Dr. Ellen Harris. I'm going to go eat my Sunday dinner now. Haven't decided exactly what it's going to be, but it will definitely be healthy, nutritious, and colorful. See you next time.